Many years ago now, when I first read this tale, it struck me that the most interesting character was not Tomodata, the young samurai, nor the Green Willow, but the old woman who ran the roadside inn. Because I feel sure that if she had been written as a modern manga or anime character, she would have been the most popular character of all. This story is really a tragic love story, but we can't tell the story without some pretty important spoilers. So those of you who have not yet read the original story should probably stop listening here. I can still hear some of you thinking, but I haven't read the original story, so I don't know what happens. Well, I'll just spoil it for you. The old woman is Tomodata's mother, and she has been watching her son secretly living in the hermitage with the Green Willow, and in the end, she goes to the hermitage and tells them that it's time to return to the world of men. But as usual, these are just my opinions and not facts. I'm just a lowly otaku, so let's get started. As I said, the main character of our story today is Tomodata, a young samurai who serves the Lord of Noto. He's a warrior, but also a courtier, and a poet, a man of many talents. And on top of all that, he's also a handsome guy with a very winning address. He excels in every manly sport, and he's also a graceful dancer. He has a sweet voice, a beautiful face, a noble form, and he's very wealthy and generous and kind. Both the rich and the poor adore him. So it's no surprise when the Lord of Noto chooses him to deliver a secret message to an ally in a faraway land. To accomplish this task, he gives Tomodata his own daughter to attend him, and also a fine steed worthy of a samurai. The Lord of Noto has given him everything he could possibly need for his journey. And he also reminds Tomodata of how much he trusts him and asks him to prove his loyalty by bringing back word of what he sees and hears on his travels. But the old samurai doesn't tell his son of the real reason he is making this trip. In fact, the real reason is one that even Tomodata is unaware of. It's simply this: the Lord of Noto wants to test him. He wants to see if his son will be faithful during the journey, especially after he delivers his message to the ally. He sends Tomodata ahead, and he's told to make the return trip alone, which means that he'll be faced with the same temptations that befell the great hero of old. Of course, Tomodata has no idea he's being tested. As he rides along the mountain roads towards his destination, his mind is troubled with thoughts of his duty, for he knows his father's orders are absolute. He may not look any maid between the eyes. If he does, he is to kill himself rather than return home disgraced. For a whole week, Tomodata struggles to keep his eyes averted from the beauties he meets, but he cannot hold out. And when he comes to a village inn run by a well-to-do widow, he asks to be shown a pretty girl. He must see her even for a moment, and pays dearly for his momentary pleasure. In the meantime, Tomodata's horse is led into a stable nearby and placed in the care of a young peasant woman named Usagi. From time to time, the young man steals into the stable to be with the horse, and one night he finds her asleep in the straw. When she wakes, she sees Tomodata looming over her and faints dead away. She's taken to the inn, but she dies before she can be revived. Meanwhile, the samurai is torn with remorse, and as the sun begins to rise, he rides off in search of the Green Willow, whom he is never to see again. He travels from town to town and finally reaches the capital city, where he is about to lose his life when suddenly a powerful feudal lord takes him under his protection. One night, the samurai dreams of the Green Willow, and when he awakens, he is overcome with grief for her loss. He decides that he must return to his master empty-handed and is preparing to do so when one day he encounters a traveling preacher who invites him to visit his hermitage. The samurai accepts the invitation and stays there for a few days, finding solace in the company of the old monk. But eventually he must return to his lord, and so he sets out on his way. On the road, he meets another beggar who, seeing that he is well-dressed, demands money from him. When Tomodata refuses, the beggar threatens to reveal his misdeeds to the Lord of Noto. Rather than let this happen, Tomodata kills the man, and the next day he meets another beggar who asks for charity. Tomodata feels sorry for him, and so he gives him a piece of cloth and allows him to take his clothes when he has finished with them. The second beggar gladly accepts this gift, and as he rides on, Tomodata wonders what sort of person the old monk was. He has seen enough suffering in his travels and is eager to get home. Meanwhile, the Lord of Noto is anxiously awaiting the return of his son, and when Tomodata finally arrives, he is dismayed to find that he is alone and has brought no news. In fact, the samurai has forgotten everything he was supposed to have seen and heard on his journey, and he's too ashamed to admit it. So instead, he throws himself on the mercy of his father and begs for forgiveness. But the Lord of Noto is furious, and when Tomodata says he has nothing to report, he banishes him from the estate. And now he lives as a wandering beggar, wandering from province to province. But eventually, the old lord falls ill, and when he recovers, he summons Tomodata back to his court. He reveals the true reason for his journey, and when he learns that his son has proven himself to be trustworthy, he reinstates him in his position. Tomodata is overjoyed, and the tale ends happily. This is the story of Yoshitsune, and it's one of my favorite tales of Japanese folklore. But let's move on to the topic at hand, the old woman who runs the inn. This old woman is the one who looks after Tomodata after he fails his test. She's the one who tells him to give up and accept his fate. She's the one who teaches him the way of the samurai. And she's the one who helps him become the great hero of our story. So why is she so important to the story? First of all, she's a strong female character. Even though she's old and frail, she's able to stand up to Tomodata and tell him what he needs to hear. She's also a wise woman. She knows the ways of the world, and she knows how to deal with people. She's able to see through Tomodata's tough exterior, and she knows that he's a good man at heart. The final reason she's important is that she